As of May 10th, 2020, it's been 2 years since I last dyed my hair. I know this video is a little late in coming, but when you're talking about growing out a half an inch a month, it kind of starts to be less noticeable once you really get past your chin area. It's a little bit harder to tell, like month by month at that point. So hey, being a little bit late probably isn't going to look that different than if I were right on time. If you'd like to hear about some of my experiences and thoughts about my 2 years of being dye-free, then you are in the right place, because I'm going to be talking about that just up ahead, so stay right here. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you'll know that this road has not always been easy for me, and I think that it can be challenging for most people that go on it for one reason or another. If for nothing else, there are definite stages that are pretty hard to take. When the grow out is about between here and here, and you've got just about this much of your new growth, the contrasting colors, there are different undertone colors. I talk about this more in some of my other videos because I have a lifelong history of art, painting, and color theory in my background, and I can see undertone colors within surface colors. And I, at one point, started to realize that what the problem mainly is and why people tend to look so bad when they start growing out their hair, not in the very beginning. The very beginning isn't so bad. It's when it gets to be about this long in the regrowth and about down to here in the regrowth. That's the hardest to take. So it's probably about the 4.5 month point when it starts getting pretty tough, probably through about the 6 or 7 month point, and then it starts getting better. And then once you hit the year point, it gets much easier after that. But what happens is that when it's in that initial phase, the undertone colors between the new growing out hair and the dye clash, because there are no undertone colors in dye that are natural to any natural hair colors, so there's always going to be a clash. Then you've got your undertone colors in your skin, which are going to be complementary to your own undertone colors in your natural hair, but the three of them will end up clashing together as you get enough of that grow out space. I've talked about this at other times in some of my earlier videos, but I haven't spoken about it for a while. But that is one of the issues that most people have, and that's why it can kind of look so funky during part of the time as that hair is growing out. But of course, there are a lot of ways that we can disguise it, and pretty easily in those initial early phases, so it's really not that big of a deal. You just have to have a plan and then work your plan. Whatever your plan is totally good. Just know what it is, be willing to change it if you need to along the way, and just roll with it. That's overall my advice. I probably have other advice too, but that's not mainly what this video about. This is to show you my 2-year grow out and to tell you a little bit about my thoughts, experiences, and yeah, some frustrations along the way. Real quick though, before we get any further, let's look at the grow out. Now, a quick word. My grow out really doesn't look in general as long as it should, primarily on my white hairs. When it comes to my darker hairs, you can definitely see the difference because it becomes that more reddish look in the dyed area still. And of course it comes like a slant like this because the hairs that are more growing down in the lower parts of my head are going to be reaching farther down on my body than these hairs up here, which are attached a little further up, obviously. So you can kind of see that the line of demarcation is about here. But now you might be questioning, where are all my whites? Underneath this one spot has always been my absolute whitest area. It's been like this. You could see this when I did my first video. You could see this. Why do my whites only look like they've been growing out for between 9 months and a year? Yes, this has been a frustrating problem for me. My whites should be looking like they're down to here. And that's what I anticipated when I first started this journey. I thought this white would be down to here, I thought this white would be down to here, and I thought all these beautiful white streaks would be partway down to here by now. And they don't look like they are. Now, technically they are, but what I believe the problem is, I'm about 99.999% certain, it's because we have hard water here, extremely hard water. In fact, this whole area is known to be really hard in water. But in our home particularly, even the plumbers who are used to the hard water of this whole entire area have been completely dumbfounded by some of the problems that they see going on with our equipment, the equipment that handles the water, and how clogged up it gets and how fast it gets clogged up. Yes, we have had water softeners, and things keep going wrong, and there's only so much money that can be thrown at them. I'm not a millionaire. When I become one, if I become one, I will be happy to throw a lot of money at water softeners that just keep having problems. But that is currently not my lot right now in life, and has not been. So yes, money has been thrown at them for new ones and repairs on old ones, and I think we're just having really bad luck with water softeners. And as a result, I'm just not getting to realize the white's really showing white all the way down. This has been completely heartbreaking for me, to be honest. If you have started your journey, or if you have some kind of an excitement and have been seriously thinking about it, you've probably imagined what you would look like along the way, to the best of your ability, to the best that you can tell where your whites are mainly concentrated and what that might look like as it gets longer. So very early into it, I anticipated that since I could see a big white clump here, that I'd have white down to here by the 2-year point. And you can tell that the darker areas of my own natural hair color are definitely down here at this point. My whites are getting stained from the hard water. Now you might say, well, there are shampoos that are supposed to take this out. Yes, and I have naturally wavy / curly hair. Have you seen some of my previous videos and some of the comments I keep getting ripped with underneath them? Do you know what my hair looks like when I use any kind of shampoo that's even a regular shampoo, let alone one that breaks up deposits? It's horrible, and it takes quite a bit of time and washings with other products to then smooth out that curl formation, and by the time we get there, we're back to the same problem again. So I'm kind of stuck between a little bit of a rock and a hard place on this. I've ended up choosing products that I've recently been introduced to that seems to have calmed the frizz down a little bit. Now, keep in mind, I washed this probably 4 days ago. I have not refreshed it. I don't do the fresher thingy, you know. I just throw it up in a twist and take it back down. And this is how good it's staying after 4 days. I think this is a big improvement, especially 4 days in. And in a video ahead, I'm going to share those products with you. In case you're a wavy curly girl and haven't found products that you love, I want to show these to you because I think that these are a pretty good option, at least for me. I do think that there are things that could make my hair look even better, and I will be exploring some of those options in the times ahead. But I'm definitely going to tell you about the ones I've been using lately in another video coming soon. So stay tuned for that if you want to know. All right, back to my hair. Let's look at my growth. All right, so here is some of my grow out. I love my white hairs. I really do. I think it's really pretty. I love Annika von Holt's hair. I think that our coloring patterns are very similar, except she has very nice straight hair and I have wavy hair, so I actually thought my hair would look a lot like hers, except the wavy version in terms of the color patterning, and I think it really would if it wasn't continuously getting stained. Alright, other than that, I actually love the really white hair. I love it when people have even more white hair than I even have, and even more white hair than even Annika has, but Annika is just so fabulous looking that, gosh, her hair is just perfect. Which then makes me think, okay, my hair is perfect too, because I like it on her. The only thing not perfect about my hair is that the whites keep getting stained. One thing I do have to say about it, though, is that the whites still blend with the with my own natural color, even though it constantly looks like I'm just growing out my hair. It still does look better than going into the dye color. Okay, so I have recognized that, and although I'm a little bit frustrated with this whole situation and feel like it just always looks like it's growing out, at least there is something about it that looks more natural, because the undertones of the white obviously go with the undertones in my own natural dark color. I guess whatever is like the rust or whatever that's staining the whites is kind of blending in too. So I do overall think that that looks better. I have thought about dyeing it again, honestly, because of all the problems I had. If you've seen my earlier video at the 7.5 month point back in December of, I think, 2018, I had a really weird mishap that took place and stained my hair, and in some places it looked like I hadn't been growing it out at all. It was so sad and disheartening. I thought almost every day of dyeing it after that point, because the talk about clashing of undertones with my skin, it was horrible. those were even worse than just what it looked like when my hair was just growing out between the two colors of my natural hair and the dye. It was awful, awful, awful. I thought probably all day about possibly dyeing it again, but I thought about it long and hard, and by about the time another 5 months went by, it was grown out enough to where it had cleared my face enough to where it looked better, so I decided not to. And as of a couple months ago, to be quite frank, I was thinking about dyeing it again just because I felt like giving up with the fact that my white hairs keep getting stained as they're growing out from the hard water, and I feel like I'm never, ever, ever going to look like my hair's grown out. And I think as long as I live here or decide to keep dealing with paying for water softener repairs, I honestly think that that's going to be my experience. I think that I will never look like my white hairs have grown out. I think they're going to always look like they've been growing out for 9 months to a year. And I'm not super happy about that, to be honest, but since I found these other products which tame the frizz to some degree, I actually feel like it just looks better, and I overall am really happy that I am not putting dye on my hair and all the chemicals, and just what that feels like, just that embarrassment when like the white sparklers start showing through. Like, I feel at least like this is very obvious that I've embraced my natural color and that I'm not dyeing hair and behind on dye jobs. So I kind of overall prefer this, even though it's not my optimum and my ideal, and probably never will be as long as I live here. I do overall, at this point anyway, prefer this to the idea of dyeing my hair. Now, if I change my mind because I'm never going to realize probably like the full gray glory, then hey, that's my prerogative. I'll let you know if I get there. I overall don't think I will. I overall really like my white stripes. I just want to see them down further, which when I went on this journey, I couldn't wait until I got to 2 years. I knew I wouldn't be all the way done with hair as long as mine, but I knew it'd be like down to here. I knew these whites would be like down to here, but they don't look like they are because of being stained. And that is so disheartening. I've had to really overcome and deal with so much disheartening disappointment for myself on this journey, and I don't really see other women having to go through this. Not that I wish it on anyone, but all of the people out there that I see doing videos and pictures on growing out their hair, I haven't seen anyone that has had any of this kind of stuff that I have like had kind of a fair bit since month 7.5. All right. Anyway, so I'm at 2 years. Let me know what you think about that. And I do love reading your comments. I sometimes get behind, sometimes I'm more on top of it. It just largely depends on the amount of time that I've got available and what all else I've got going on. But I do appreciate them, and I do like reading them, and I do like getting back to people as soon as I can. So I look forward to hearing from you. I have some great content coming up. I've been experimenting with some stuff that I actually think most people who are my viewers here could probably at least want to know about. I think that what I have been experimenting with is something that afflicts like most people, more people than not. And I think even if it's not something that you want to take on and try for yourself, I think you would like to hear about it. So if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, you might want to do that. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag right now as to what it's about, but what I am going to tell you is I think you would at least be interested to hear what some of this stuff is about. So stick around. Click the bell, do all that stuff, and I'll see you back here again really soon.